Yeah, it sounds absolutely electric.
Yeah.
How much of the audience adds to that feeling? How many people are actually at Global Citizen?
She had an audience of, I think it was about 20,000.
Okay.
20,000 in Black Star Square. Audience makes all the difference. Audience makes all the difference. Like the louder they're screaming, the more they sing along, the more they really bring the energy to the performance, and I think it helps take the artist's performance level. I think if you go from, imagine them performing like, did a show a day in the life with Wizkid.
Yeah.
Wizkid was superb, but Wizkid was in lockdown,
Yeah.
no audience, so he had maybe he had some of his team, maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
But it's an empty studio. He still performed, like people perform in the studio. This is
sick.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
But even from going to the studio when I used to go with my brother. Now, if he's in a studio in their booth on his own, still delivers the bar. If you've got 15 guys in there who are hyping him, all of a sudden there's more energy from him, and he's got. And it's, I think with a performance with like something like that, it's the same thing. You imagine that square's empty. Okay, now you put 200 people in there. Okay, great, you've got a few people to put. Then you put 10,000 people in there, but you got 20,000 people who are all screaming, and these are all big artists. Like there was not one person they were disappointed to see. Everybody there, like we had like Uncle Waffles there, just doing a set, 20, 25 minutes, not even singing, just playing music and dancing. They're going crazy, and it's like, so when you've got that kind of energy, and you think like someone like Stonebwoy's starting, someone like that opens up the set, and you've got 10 seconds. And you know what I mean, and you're building up. For me, that energy just kind of goes up, like that's what they're there for. So for me, audience energy is massively important.
Everything. And in terms of something else that I noticed that you've mentioned about like going with the energy, artists decided to just go with it.
Yeah.
You probably have a number of like, you mentioned like Usher decided to change the track. You probably have a number of change the track moments. What's the actual response to those change the track moments live at the time?
Well, yeah, it's not really live, so often it might be like the day before, or sometimes you'll find something out on the day, in the morning, like, oh, we're going to switch the order, or sometimes you switch the track. It happens a lot. For me, it goes back to people having a position and knowing their roles. So I'll talk to my camera guy, and I'll be like, whatever happens, you are Usher's single. So if he wants to sing something different, that's fine. We're still going to have his single there. I'm going to be like, you're always, if he brings someone on, you're the person who's going to do that every time. So my camera operator knows, my vision mixer knows, everybody knows. If this happens, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
You're always going to get me the wide shot. So whatever happens, you've got these certain cameras that are going to be fun, and then I'll have a couple that are going to be like, right, you're going to be creative, but you're going to work towards the back of the stage. So you're going to be able to get me shots from behind the drums with the foreground. I'm going to see the crowd. That's going to be your primary role. Yeah, you'll be able to give me other stuff, but that's the default that you could. So for me, I ensure that we've got what I call base, so that if something were to happen, like even when he finished his performance, he did something extra at the end, which we weren't really sure of, and it's just, and the dancers did, and it was amazing. Fireworks going off, music started playing again. Him and all of the dancers, they started doing a great piece, and it felt like a tribute to and it was like that wasn't something that we rehearsed. It wasn't something that we'd seen, but we had to go with it. But everyone has a role, so we ensure that we've got the coverage of that. We ensure the key things, and then that's also where I need to be really clear. Okay, like we need to see fireworks. So that's where I'm directing, and I'll be specific with cameras. What I want from at the time, what I want to be taking, what needs to be reframed, and how we're going to get around that. But it's just about. But there's so many elements that need to go in. It's like the more that people know, right, this is base. This is what the default is. Even from like the screens, what's in the screens at the time. When that's changing. All of those different elements. Whose mic needs to be up. All of those things. It's like, you've got a default. Everyone knows there's a running order that we're going to. But if things go off piece, this is what everybody needs to do. For me, that's the start point. And then after that, it's about listening to the instructions. And that's my role. That's really this is really where we earn our money. When things don't go to plan or things aren't right, we have to drive and be really clear on exactly what everybody's doing.
Yeah. That's such a key. Honestly, you must have the mental strength of I don't know what, because in those moments, like, people frazzle for so much less than that extremity of like what could be chaos.
Yeah.
But like, I think that message as well is like always having a foundation, always having a base, knowing exactly where if all goes left, we come back to here, and ensuring that everybody knows what their here is so key. For you, when it's all said and done, once the show's finished, once everybody's gone home, once all of that, what for you is like a measurement of success? Like what for you feels like this was successful? What's the thing that makes you feel that? Is it how the world receives it? Is it everybody that the team's feeling afterwards? Not to put words in your mouth, but like what's the thing that makes you feel like, yeah.
Do you know what? Like, yeah. Like, do you know what? For me, generally, there's two parts to it because obviously, like, my career is, I guess it's stemmed on people. I guess the powers that be liking what I do and deciding I want this person to direct my show. So there's an element where that, whoever that might be, whether it's a production company, whether it's an exec, whether it's a broadcaster, there's a part of me where they need to be happy with what I've done and how I work. Ultimately, though, I do feel that a lot of that now, more so, which is a good thing, is driven by the audience that it's intended to serve. So for me, if you do something like that and everything you're seeing is these people smiling, they're enjoying, they're having a time of their life, we're covering that, we're capturing that, people are smiling, and then social media talks loud. And I think this is one of the situations where it counts. People are talking about it, the write-ups are good. Then for me, that's a measure of success. Generally, instinctively, I feel in myself, yeah, I'm happy with how this went, and I enjoy doing that. Like I like to enjoy the shows I'm doing while I'm doing it, and I try to enjoy it, and I try and encourage people to do it at the same time. So for me, I feel like the audience that it's intended to serve need to have enjoyed it, need to be really proud of it. So someone like Global Citizen, obviously you want Global Citizen who put on the event, they have to be happy, but ultimately, those Ghanaian people are really happy. They've had a great time. It's covered well. All of the artists are happy. Like again, that's the other part. Like ultimately, the artists, they're on stage, but this is their art. They work a lot of time for it. It's big moments for them. So it's ensuring that there's a lot of people who want to be happy. But for me, a lot of the time, you can feel it from the audience's energy. And then even in the gallery, like your two people closest to me that are in the gallery for the shows, my vision mixer and my AD or script supervisor. A lot of the time, you'll know within yourself, and you're obviously your producer as well, or your exec producer. You'll know within yourself, kind of like, we didn't have any major problems here. We're all of these obstacles that we had to get through to get here. We've got through that, and it wasn't noticeable on there. Then it's like, okay, we've delivered our
here.
part.
Yeah. I think that's amazing, and I think the wider piece on like ensuring that everyone else feels that like we've overcome the obstacles. I think like growth is a lot about the friction that happens in between to get you to the next level. And I think we kind of touched on it a little bit when we were kind of off camera, around like opening the door for other people to kind of be in the spaces to direct the shows that you've done before or direct other shows, especially black people in this country. I know that you are on the board for the Directors of Colour Committee.
I was, I'm not now.
You was?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a mentor? Out of interest.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess mentor, there's different I don't know if I ever officially had a mentor. There was a mentorship scheme that I was on, and Steve Smith, who's a senior director, he was a mentor to me, and he was really kind of like really supportive in my career in terms of breaking into the entertainment space. You won't believe how difficult it is to get into the entertainment space, regardless of how long you've been directing. If you don't know the right people, and no one's willing to put you in there. A lot of the times, as we say with shows, they're broadcast for a specific commission. There's a specific big budget. Entertainment shows, multi-camera shows are expensive. You've got to think you can make a movie cheaply with one camera, and you pick a location, and we can make a movie right here, and we can do the whole movie in this room, and you can have one camera, and it can cost you almost nothing. It can still look good. Multi-camera is, by virtue of, first of all, you're going to have lots of cameras, then you need lots of lights, therefore you need a studio space with a controlled environment. You need lots of people, so it's expensive. So a lot of the time, when it comes to a director, they need to put someone in, or they want to put someone in, they feel they have to put someone in who they know. And if you're not that person, and even if they know you, they need to know that you've absolutely done the work. And even if they've seen you've done something like it, there's always hesitancy if you've not done exactly that with them. So Steve Smith was fundamental in helping break that barrier for me personally, in terms of bringing me on some of his shows, getting me to take over on days that he couldn't do it, or even sometimes if he could do it, say, listen, I'm going to do half the series, Jan's going to do the other half. That's the deal. And that really kind of like helped me kind of like build some relationships, give people an opportunity to see that I can work in these environments. and also give me the confidence, because there's a huge difference between thinking you could do something and knowing
actually,
you can do
yeah,
it,
yeah,
having done it.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so I'd say Steve was a mentor. Alongside that, you had other. I'd say like, yeah, like there are other people who I also. I always knock this mic off. There are other people who I've also. I wouldn't say necessarily mentor, but people who are experienced, who I've kind of like had as more like friends, but like experienced friends who have helped support. But I'd say yeah, Steve was definitely kind of like definitely drove that from the front, and then. And then there's also Hamish Hamilton, who I've known for kind of, I guess, maybe 6 or 7 years. And again, Hamish, again, I wouldn't necessarily say mentor is the word, but again, someone who's in the entertainment space at the very top of the game, someone who's always had time, who always had time to kind of like have conversations and look at the stuff I'm doing and listen to it and had an ear for kind of questions and that kind of stuff. And I think that's invaluable. Again, with this industry in particular, but I'd imagine most, it's really difficult to know, like, what's it like doing this if you can't even be in the space or if you've never done it. You need someone to kind of like help open the door. Oh, when I've done this, I used to have this kind of crew, or I have this structure, or I approach it a bit like this. So that when you do get that chance, you take it, because these chances don't come twice. You can't do a live show for the first time and fail and say that's all right, I got next time. You've got to deliver the first time. So it's important that you've got those people around you who can advise, and maybe sometimes suggest crew and that kind of stuff, and who have done it before. And that's why I feel like even conversations like this, super important. Like for me, I didn't have this. So when I was trying to get in, I couldn't sit down and watch a podcast and say, so this is how it was done. This is who we spoke. This is how it was done. This is how we approached it. Let me try and apply some of that. I didn't have that. So for me, and even now, I don't see a lot of it in multi-camera directing world. So yeah, I just think it's important for particularly important communities where you don't have loads of connects on the inside. And you can say, I'll talk to my friend, my cousin, my uncle. Just that there's places people can have some sort of opportunity.
And guidance as well. I think that's really helpful.